Hey, what you got there?
What do you think it is?
Bazooka? Ski poles?
Keep guessing.
Lunch.
No.
No.
Door hardware.
Door hardware.
And flashbacks from Nam. Go! Charlie's everywhere! Charlie's everywhere! Get out! Get out! Get out!
Hey, I'm Eric Perkins. Welcome to episode 21 of Building a House Start to Finish. Today's episode is brought to you by Cavity Sliders, the pocket door and barn door experts. The crew is in full swing to finish this project out in the next couple weeks, and it's a bunch of small projects near the end, but luckily we have a super versatile crew, and I'm so thankful they know how to do everything from block work to painting. And we even got the chance to do a few custom showpieces like this barn door in the master bedroom. We'll show you about that as well. Turns out the homeowner really loves it. Let's start out with the stain going onto the concrete floors that will give a cool modern feel to the inside of this home.
Here's our sample colors here, and our homeowner has selected this one in the middle, which is just a gray stain that is diluted half. Actually, it's a dye. I'm sorry, it's not a stain. Well, you could call it a stain, but I think it's actually a dye. So that's what it's going to be right there. Well, my man Jeff here is mixing up the solution. He's going to be using a pump sprayer to apply the dye or the stain. And so he's covered up the edges of the walls with tape and plastic to keep that stain off of the drywall and off of the other things like doors and trim that we already have installed. We'll be doing 1 part dye to 1 part acetone reducer. All that is put into a handy dandy pump sprayer that can apply it with a fine mist.
Now, normally when you do acid-stained floors, you have to come back and neutralize the acid later. But due to the color selection, we used a dye here, which is diluted and doesn't need neutralizing. So once it dries, it can get a top coat.
Well, I'm gonna leave Jeff with this thing here. Apparently he's got it under control. He's got the bedroom and the closet nearly done. What's remaining is the living room and the kitchen and dining area. So I'm gonna get out of here while he finishes, and I'll try to get back and get the clear coat when that gets started.
Up next, let's dive into building this custom barn door. And with anything, we need a scale drawing. And so here's Jamie at the desk where he spends a lot of time in the evenings and early mornings sketching up the drawing for this door. The owner's original idea on this was actually a louvered style door, but since it was going into a bathroom, we decided to use a solid panel behind the louvers to make it look like a louver door but actually be solid. It took a couple tries, but after a while, Jamie came up with a design that he liked, and it was time to go into production.
Okay, me and Arlo are down here. What's up, Arlo? We have all of our frame pieces for this door we're gonna make glued up. We glued those, I don't know, what was it, Friday? So it's Monday now. So these have been clamped up for a long time. And it is time to take all the clamps off so that we can turn this part into the frame. So let's get it on. Okay, these frame pieces are made to the exact thickness that I wanted right here. That's 1 3/4. They are over width though, all right? They're about 5 inches right now. I'm gonna rip them down to about 4.
After all the frame pieces were ripped to width, Jamie and Arlo ripped a dado, which is simply a slot, into one edge of each board. We do have a dado saw blade, which takes a wide cut in one pass, but since we're just doing one workpiece with this, it wasn't worth the time to swap the blades and then swap them back after. Next, all the frame pieces are cut down to their final length, and then some are taken back to the table saw to have material removed to form the tenons in the end of the rail pieces. Next, mortises are put into the stiles that will receive the tenons on the rails.
Now, obviously, the mortising machine is an excellent tool for this job. If you don't have a mortiser, though, a drill press will do nearly the same job. You'll just have a little bit of chisel work to clean up. And believe me, I have made, I think, hundreds of mortises on a drill press before I was able to purchase this machine. Well, whatever. So what happened is we accidentally took away some material that was supposed to stay. Oh, darn. It was supposed to look like this. This is all cut out. That's right. This one, we accidentally cut that part off. Whoops. you know, you get to work and then all of a sudden you did something, whoops. So what we're doing is just gluing in a new piece in a mortise and tenon fashion here.
First guy I worked for, Al Dutenhofer, his thing was, a sign of a good carpenter was how quick you could fix your mistake.
All right, sweet. And that took you, what, about 5 minutes to fix that, so perfect. This is kind of fun to see. Here's my job site sketch of the door. Here is my more refined drawing from earlier this morning. And then here I have the full-size piece of plywood that we will lay out our design on and start to cut and install these little strips that will give it its unique design.
But first, the frame is glued together with the panel inside, and in this case, the panel is actually glued in since it's plywood and it's much more stable as opposed to the other door you saw us make on the previous video.
All right, Arlo.
All right.
So here's what's going on now. We have sized the strips down, and we're using a scrap piece as a spacer here. To get our spacing, it's going to be really close to my drawing over there, but we're sort of making some on-the-fly modifications to the spacing here, just per what we think is going to look good. So right now we're doing that. We're getting ready to nail some of these and glue these strips on. By the way, I'm using a 23 gauge pin nailer and a little bit of glue to put these strips on, nailing it to the plywood panel.
After a good sanding and cleaning, the door is sent out to the finish crew, which is also Jamie. He's using an HVLP sprayer made by 3M that's made for automotive purposes to put on this water-based poly. HVLP stands for high volume, low pressure. Back out on the job, it's time to check out our stained floors and install this barn door.
Well, here we are back at the house. Yeah, we got a little clear coat, a little stain. I did not get to watch the guy put the clear on the floor, but here it is. Now this will get one additional coat of clear when we're all done. So this is first coat, it'll get 2. Pretty cool. Yeah. So we got to cover this up with paper because it looks so amazing right now that I don't want to get dirt and mud all over it. So we're going to paper this thing up. Tape it down. Actually, you can't put tape on the floor. They said it will have a chemical reaction with the sealer. So you cannot put blue tape on this floor.
Ray, do you know what you're doing?
Nope. I'm gonna make Arlo proud though. Hey, you got any super glue?
Super glue?
Yeah, I had a little chip out here.
Dude, Arlo don't need no super glue.
I know.
Our first step for installing this barn door is to install the mounting track to the wall. We tacked it on and then checked for level. Once we verified it was actually level, we came back with 3-inch lags into the framework.
You got that there, Chief? Goes underneath.
There you go.
There it is.
You don't need a header board, and this is adjustable in and out. So you can have different thickness doors, different thickness trim. It all works with the same track. Pretty smart.
Meanwhile, Arlo had our barn door and he was drilling to mount the rollers on top of this solid maple door. He starts with a pilot bit to get the hole centered and then comes back with a larger diameter bit to drill all the way through the door. And Arlo, buddy, I think it's time for a new shirt. Next, we use a small router bit to put a dado in the bottom of the door that will receive this guide that keeps the door from swinging in or out. Now it's time to do a quick check on the positioning of the door rail and make sure this door actually rolls on the track properly before installing the soft close features, which are pretty much necessary on a door this heavy. A hole is drilled in the top of the door to receive a catch that will stick out of the top of the door. This catch will latch into a hydraulic piston on each end of the range of motion to slowly close it and also hold the door fully in the open or closed position.
Nice. Perfect.
Dollar store glass.
These soft close rails fit easily into the track and then are tightened into your desired position using a small set screw, so they are adjustable on either end, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, let's do that. Soft close. Oh yeah. Sweet.
All right, so me and Arlo built this door back in the shop. Now, he was driving me crazy because he was trying to cut this one little piece that would have fit right there if there was another piece. Well, actually, he did cut it, and he did try to put it in, but I was like, no, I don't want that piece. Take that out of there.
Hey, so the wife wants me to do some tile at the house this weekend. You think you could come over this weekend and maybe help me out a little bit?
Absolutely not. Not a chance, bro.
And the last step of this barn door install is to actually attach the guide piece to the floor that will keep the bottom of the door from swinging in or out. First, I used the guide as a template to mark the locations for the holes on the floor. Next, I set up a depth gauge on a masonry bit, and I'm doing this simply using a piece of painter's tape to tell when I've drilled to the correct depth. I drilled 1/4-inch holes to match the size of these plastic drywall anchors, and they actually work even better in concrete than on drywall. Now I can use standard screws instead of having to use masonry screws to hold this guide down. I'm always waiting for something to go wrong right at the last second of a great project like this, but in this case we were actually able to finish up with no snags, which is amazing.
Love that on the knuckles. All right, there it goes. Sweet.
Last step of the process, the stop.
That's it. We're done.
We got Ray tackling the paint job on these metal doors, and I'm gonna tell you, that's probably one of the most tedious things that I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
Painting a metal door, making it look good, you know? Because you can see the brush marks, right? And you gotta like, see how Ray has lapped the brush marks like that? I mean, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's really tough to make it look good.
Yeah. These doors are definitely gonna take 3 coats.
Yep.
Yep.
And they were white when you started.
Yeah, I know.
Now they're just a different shade of white. Man.
Yep. It is what it is.
What? Put the paint down, bro. Quit overachieving. Let's go, dude.
I can't help it, you don't know how to paint.
My gosh. I'm gonna paint until like 5:30. Let's go, bro. I'm gonna go home.
Thanks for watching our video today, and make sure to tune in next week where we're going to do the entire kitchen, including the cabinets, countertops, and install. Also, remember to subscribe to our channel if you haven't, and now you can join our channel to get exclusive content if you want more content. For Jamie and the rest of the Perkins crew, we'll see you next time.